All right, starting off today. This is out on the engine stand, obviously. I hit Danny up and I was like, hey man, it's the last chance before I start stabbing parts on here. If you're gonna build it or not, I need to know. And he told me to wait on. So I'm waiting on word from him. I kind of took my scratch pads and cleaned up the deck surfaces, get all this old gasket material and as much of the booger as I could off of it. I started off with a roll lock on a drill, low speed, just moving around, just keep it moving. And I used a dull one. So you get hitting it, it does start leaving some scratch, some scuffing or whatever, but you're not digging material with this. You just don't apply a lot of pressure, keep it slow, move it around fast, like do not let it sit, and you're gonna be fine. And then after you get the bulk of it off, you're just knocking off a lot of the high in it. And after you get the bulk of it off, here comes the carpal tunnel. And just use your scratch pads, some brake clean or some degreaser, and get all this old gasket material off. So while I'm waiting on that, I'm jumping on getting a torque tube out on this little baby lift. It is a pain in the ass. So you get I'm stupid, so I took the whole console off, but you don't need to. I don't know, as of right now. So there's two ways we can do this. You got the shifter here, right? And then there's a shift, little Corvette tutorial if you don't know. This is out of a C5, but same principle. So transmission's in the back of the car, right? Shifter's up in the front. You got the shifter linkage. It runs on top of the torque tube, and through the rear bell housing, there's a window and connects to the transmission. So one way you can do this is, it's probably what I'm gonna do. There's this through bolt in the front, and this connects the shift linkage to the lower shifter box. So you can take that loose. Now I'm talking myself through this. It's not going to be optional. So you take that off, slide the torque tube, and this stays put. The other way to disconnect it, which you're obviously not going to be able to get to, is, I don't remember if it's on here. I think it's behind this rubber, but there's a roll pin that goes through. It's behind the rubber. So you'll have to knock the roll pin out to get this. But now that I'm looking at this, there's no way I'm gonna get this off. So we're gonna drop the car back down. So you do need to take the console out so you can get to this. Take this pinch bolt off. There's gonna be some kind of Torx, T45 maybe. And that's gonna disconnect it from the shifter box. So then when you undo the rear bell housing, oh, walk with me. Now, if you're unsupported, right, because this is, your transmission's right here, goes right into the rear diff. I'm trying not be so close. Attached to the rear cradle. You see my ratchet strap. So without any way of supporting this, if you take this tunnel plate off, all this shit's just gonna go drop, because there's nothing holding this up. The torque tube holds the front of the transmission up, and the differential holds the back up, sandwiched in here. So I just got a ratchet strap for now, and it's holding it, and then I can, slightly adjust my angle if need be. But you got your rear bell housing bolts, and then your shifter, you can't even see it. Your shift linkage is up top. It runs over here to this lower shifter box that you can't see either. So I'm gonna go back up top. I'm gonna get that shift linkage off. Might just take the, no, I'm not. And then there's also your rear wiring harness that runs along the top of the torque tube. There's some forks up there. If you look on, shit. If you look on this torque tube, see those forks? So your harness right there lays into those forks, and then the torque tube goes up and it's secured. And then this one won't have it because it's automatic. But if this was a manual, right here, you would have the window for the shifter to go through. And then up there, you would have the boss for the shifter box to mount to. That's auto. So I'll show you all that stuff when I get this dropped out. Okay, so to get this done, you gotta take this console bezel out. He has obviously a drift car, so he had this giant brake handle thing sticking through where the cup holder is supposed to be, and wouldn't let that come off. So I had to take the handle off, no big deal. Then you have like an upper sound deadener and then a lower sound deadener. That's 4 10mm. And that'll come off. And then here you go. You got your shift linkage here, and you get a lower shifter box. So I'm gonna take all of these out. I'm just gonna take the shifter box completely out, and that way the shifter handle is not hanging up on me when I'm trying to slide the torque tube out. So they look T45, T50, something like that. So pretty simple. Once you get to this point, just bust this loose. It's that pinch bolt, and then you can pry this back off of this lower shaft, and then get this shifter box off. So I thought that this would just come off the front, but it will not. The bell is too big to fit in between these the frame bracing here, or the body bracing, whatever you want to call it, for the tunnel. The bell hits on it, so I don't have enough forward to get it out. So kind of in a pickle right now. Whole rear cradle needs to come out in order to get this torque tube out. And I'm not sure how to go about it with what I got going on. Especially since most of my stuff is tied up over there. So I guess what I'm gonna have to do is I mean, realistically, to drop it out, I could take that set of blocks, put it up underneath the rear cradle. The front's separate, so I don't have to drop it out now. And then once I get the rear cradle and all the transmission and all this stuff out, then later on I can take the front, drop the front out. And then, like I said, we can put this together as one assembly and then lower the car down on top of the cradles like we're gonna do on that car. So this will be another day of moving a ton of shit around to get to what I need. Well, maybe not. I think I'm just gonna take that. So I'll strap this back up, get it where it's not in a bind, get the car down to a point, and then start stripping this. It looks like it's gonna be a little bit easier on this than a C5. Because on the C5 you had a bunch of stuff. So yeah, e-brake cables, ABS, we got the ground, suspension's gotta come off, brake lines, and that should be it. So, yep, that's what we're gonna do. No big deal, right? So, we'll get this dropped out. It's gonna take me a little bit of time, but we'll get it dropped out and then go from there. Got this dropped out. It's a lot of fire extinguisher material up in here. Oh, that's just dirt. But all this was kind of caked in it. I spent some time with the shop vac cleaning it up, just knocking it loose and breathing it in. Not that I'm the purest air breather, but still no bueno. So torque tube is out. Basically a pain in the ass doing things this way. I wish I would have, whatever. I seem to recall after I attempted it and it failed that I've tried doing this before and it wouldn't fit. So yeah, I don't know. But anyway, for your knowledge, it's not gonna go out the front. It's gotta come out the back, which is stupid. So, Danny come over, he's made up his mind and went ahead and ordered some stuff for that. So we got all new bearings coming, cam bearings, rod bearings, main bearings. A couple gaskets that he doesn't previously have, and we're just gonna knock it apart, clean it up, refresh it, put some new cam bearings and all the other bearings in it, some new ARP rod bolts, since rod bolts are torque to yield. I'm gonna reuse the main bolts, which is fine. And new piston rings, those are coming. So everything to refresh that, it's gonna be refreshed. Those will be here in a couple days. Waiting on a clutch, those will be here in a couple days. He said the exhaust showed up, which is fine, but that's literally the last thing I need to put on, so that does me no good. I do have torque tube bushings here on the shelf, obviously, so the next video you're gonna see is dedicated torque tubes. And that's gonna be me knocking that torque tube apart, showing you how to change bushings and bearings if you so wish to. He's not changing the bearings, which is, whatever, personal preference, that's fine. I did change both of them in the C5 over there. I did it on a video on my GoPro that you probably won't ever see. So I'm gonna start over and we're gonna do it on this one. Like I said before, I said I would show you the shifter stuff. So there's your hole where your shifter linkage comes through. And then your shifter sits on this boss right here. And there's two bushings here in the shifter box. Those are kind of a wear item. Sometimes those bushings will wear out on you. There's somebody, man, I can't remember. There's probably a couple people by now, but when I was on the Corvette pages on Facebook groups, there's somebody that made like billet bushings to take the slop out of the lower box. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, look it up. But almost dropped the phone. So I'm gonna go through this torque tube, we're gonna get that done, and then I'm gonna figure out, I think I can use the transmission jack. I'm gonna get this front cradle off, excuse me, and then I don't know, it all needs to be pressure washed, but I don't think I can do it how it is. So I'll figure it out, but it's gonna get cleaned up. And then on the go back, so after the engine's done, I'm gonna get it completely assembled. Torque tube will be assembled and installed, new clutch, engine will be assembled. I'm gonna install that on the torque tube, set it on the cradle, so it'll be configured like the C5 over there. Well, that's not even completely configured yet. So, but I'll get it all set up like it's supposed to be, and then we'll just lower the car back down onto the cradles and install it that way. That's gonna be the easiest way of doing it. That way you're not fighting with input shaft alignment back here, input shaft alignment back there, clutch alignment and all that crap. So another thing with these clutch cars is That's non-automatic, if you're paying attention. Your slave cylinder bolts onto the torque tube. If you are in anything that's not a Corvette with torque tubes, it bolts onto the transmission. Here is your bleeder. All right. Can you imagine how easy that is to get to? It's not. So Tick Performance makes it. There's probably a couple other people that makes it. You can make your own. They make a remote bleeder. So it's a little piece of AN line, threads into the slave cylinder. You route the AN line. Where's my hand? However you want to. I take it up away from heat. Get it up here by the clutch master cylinder cap reservoir right here. So you can do all your clutch bleeding from up top. Don't have to do it from underneath. Super handy. So they're like 50 bucks. I have one in this cabinet somewhere. Give myself 5 seconds to find it, and if I don't, you'll just have to Google it. Oh, it's attached. Okay. That's it. So you get a length of AN line with a speed bleeder on the end of it. Makes your life a hell of a lot easier. I think they're like 50 bucks from Tick. I don't know where else you're gonna source it from, but or you can make it on your own. So next video is gonna be torque tube apart, torque tube back together.